Caleb Williams has been nominated for FedEx Air Player of the Week, and we're going to talk about his qualifications and what he did to earn that nomination. We're also going to talk about Ben Johnson's reactions to Caleb Williams' Week 3 play, also an injury update on Colston Loveland, and PFF grades for the best and worst players for the Bears against the Cowboys. We're going to get to all that, plus the mailbag, right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today. So, good things happen. You're rewarded for those good things. Caleb Williams, who had one of his best games yet, I call it a potential breakout game for the Chicago Bears and for Caleb Williams. Now, to that credit, Caleb Williams is going to have to show this with consistency that he can be that level player week in and week out for the Chicago Bears. And we've seen that there were still even areas of growth for Caleb Williams even in that game. But for what it's worth, Caleb Williams has been nominated as FedEx Air Player of the Week following that outing against the Dallas Cowboys. He went 19 of 28 passes for 298 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and a QB rating of 142.6. And that was a really great thing when you look at it as well. Just the way that Caleb Williams monitored and played in that game was undoubtedly one of the best games that we've seen from Caleb Williams. And you know, one of the things that I have been personally saying about Caleb for a while is that he just hadn't seemed like a player yet that has just gotten in rhythm, right? He hasn't been in rhythm for the entirety of a game. And this was the first game he did that. Now, I think that is something to be said that also coincided with him also, you know, not getting sacked for the Chicago Bears, which I think is a big thing there as well. Like his first game of his NFL career, he wasn't sacked. And I think that shows a lot of what Caleb Williams can be. Caleb Williams is now tied for second in the NFL in touchdowns. Lamar Jackson went up to number 1 with now 9 touchdowns, after the performance last night in a losing effort against the Detroit Lions. And Caleb Williams is now tied for second with Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, and then Caleb Williams. Those 3 are tied for number 2 in most touchdown passes thrown in the NFL so far. And that's good company to be in. Now, I said it. Caleb Williams has a lot that he needs to show that this is going to be a consistent part of Caleb Williams' game. But let's be clear, 3 weeks of the season, and yes, there have been struggles, undoubtedly, and some of those due to Caleb Williams' own shortcomings, absolutely. There have been some team shortcomings, some individual shortcomings for Caleb Williams. But he's 11th in the league in total passing yards so far, at 715 yards on the season so far. He's 11th as well as yards per game as a quarterback, which is a really solid place to be in also. You look at the completion percentage as well. That's where Caleb Williams can definitely improve at. He's 21st in the league in completion percentage. Definitely room for growth for Caleb Williams in those areas. We'll see if Caleb can do that and get more consistent about tightening up that part of his game. Get a Caleb Williams that has a better completion percentage, that takes the team even further as well. You'll also look at interceptions in the league as far as lowest numbers of interceptions. Caleb Williams is very solid in that area as well. So Caleb has shown growth in just about every place you want him to show. 1 interception on the season so far that puts him among a lot of players that are there. You look at number of sacks so far in the season as well, and this is where the Chicago Bears have improved so far for Caleb. Like for one of the first time, the Bears, as far as sacks, are not towards the top of the league. So that's really good to see that there's been growth. He's getting more time as well with those type of things. And so Caleb has a lot of room still left for growth. He's 9th in the league as well in QB rating. So, you know, it's been a night. I'm sorry, 6th in the league for QB rating. My bad. Was looking at the wrong one. So, you know, it's been a year of growth for Caleb. He has a QB rating so far of 107.6 on the season. Nice growth shown for Caleb Williams. If he wins FedEx Air Player of the Week, great there. But now it's about, now we've seen it, right? You've now given Bears fans a appetizer of what Caleb Williams could be. The thing that I called it and said that it could be in last game is that this could now be the foundation that the Bears work off of and build off on, meaning that it just hopefully is going to get better from here on out for the Chicago Bears and for Caleb Williams. And if they can do it, and do it consistently, that's where the Bears need to be. That's where Ben Johnson wants us to be. One of the things that I said about Caleb Williams, after the first game was that, after last week's game in week 3 is that, Ben Johnson is going to have to live with Caleb Williams not necessarily being as technically sound as what he wants Caleb Williams to be. I just feel like that. That's not to say that it's going to ignore the things, the overthrows, or ignore some of the fundamental things that Caleb Williams misses, but you're going to see that Ben Johnson is a very technical person. He wants everything to be perfectly clinically technical, right? You want it to be sound in that. And you're going to have to work on, allowing Caleb Williams kind of more freedom to be him, right? I think, and we think for what it's worth, we've seen Ben Johnson do that with how he called some design run plays for Caleb Williams as well. So I think those are things that definitely are going to help Caleb Williams take that next step. And, we'll see. This marriage between Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson is going to be the foundation of the Chicago Bears. So you want these two guys to get into that rhythm. And part of that isn't just Caleb Williams just acquiescing and just being exactly what Ben Johnson had in mind as the perfect quarterback. It also means that Ben Johnson adapting to both the strengths and the weaknesses of his quarterback and Caleb Williams. I think that Ben Johnson is going to be in a place to do that, and he's going to do that pretty well, I think. So, the growth from this team is there, and we'll see, right? Ben Johnson, for what it's worth, talked about Caleb Williams after the game saying this. I'm looking at Williams' numbers, 142.6 pass rating, 4 touchdowns. I thought he was good. And the thing that you don't see on the stat sheet is that he's getting a lot more comfortable calling those plays in the huddle. We're able to get out of the huddle a little bit faster, and we're going to be able to get on the line and operate a little bit cleaner as well. I was proud of him for that. And that's all realistic. Like, that is what we've seen for Caleb Williams. Now, for what it's worth, as well, you look at the other nominees, Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills and Sam Darnold of the Seattle Seahawks were also are nominated as players of the week. So go out there, show up, vote for Caleb Williams, and let's see what we can do for that one. But, the reaction that Ben Johnson had to his quarterback having a game like that, it was like, and not even just that, right? I know we posted the clip here on the channel, but like, go and watch Ben Johnson's reaction to winning the first game. You see the emotion from Ben Johnson, and it's like, say what you will about Ben Johnson, whether it's the shortcomings, whether it's the personality, whether it's the yelling, whatever you want to say, the thing that you can't knock Ben Johnson for, and the thing that we've been missing a lot, is that Ben Johnson cares. Ben Johnson cares about this team. Ben Johnson cares about winning. Ben Johnson cares about his players, and that's great. After the game, Ben Johnson also saying this: thought a number of our guys played really outstanding football. One of the 2 game balls went to Caleb. And that's the thing that you love there. Is like, Caleb, you want him to see him step up as a leader. You need that, right? And while the Bears are only 1-2 on the season, make no mistake about it, there was some obvious growth, not only from Caleb, but from the offense. And that's what you want to see here. Well, Ben Johnson said it coming into the season. As much as Bears fans, we all want it now. And I understand why we all want it now. We've dealt with some shit as Bears fans over the years. So we're right to want it now, right? But it's not all going to be there immediately. It's not all going to be perfect right away. It's going to take some time, and it's still development that needs to be done for Caleb, for the other players on this team, for the chemistry, for how Ben Johnson wants them to play. All those type of things are there. And so, we're seeing that growth, and we'll hopefully see that continue for the Chicago Bears. And what it's worth, let's look at the PFF grades for the Chicago Bears after last week's game. The players with the best offensive grades: Luther Burden with a PFF grade of 93. Keep in mind, PFF grades aren't the end-all, be-all, but it does show a solid. Colston Loveland had an 88.7, but Colston Loveland went down with injury. More on him in a second. Odunze, 77.8. Caleb Williams with a 76.8. And Drew Dahlman with a 76.4. It's really good to see. That is good to see as well. One of the Bears' top picks in Luther Burden really stepping up and using the opportunity that he earned. And that was, given to him as well, but that he earned, him take advantage of that. Now, it was a breakout for Luther Burden. How do you now build off of that? You got some Bears fans saying things like DJ Moore could be traded, DJ Moore could be moved. Of course, those rumblings were already there, but overall, like, what Luther Burden did, over 100 yards, his first NFL touchdown, performing in the way that he did. But I want to see the consistency. Not to be negative, Nancy, because I don't mean this to be negative. I just mean this to be real, but all of Luther Burden's catches came off 2 plays, right? Like, 2 big plays, 2 major plays. And make no mistake about it, making the big plays is equally as important as anything else. But now let's see the consistency. Let's see how Luther Burden is going to be involved. And I said 2, it was 3. 3 catches, 3 targets, 101 yards. But like, now let's get it consistently there. Like, what are we going to do on top of that? How are we going to build off of that? That's going to be an important part there for this team as they continue to grow also. And, I think that's going to be there. I have no doubts that it's going to be there. You look at Luther Burden and everything that he was talked about being before he even came into the NFL. We all know there's talent there. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't think that there's talent there for Luther Burden. There's absolutely big talent there. And now that chemistry is building with Caleb Williams. The chemistry with Odunze is already there. The Bears could be on to something with their wide receiver core. And let's see how it's going to go. As far as best defensive grades, Gervon Dexter graded out as the best defensive player for the Bears at 83.6. Tremaine Edmonds had a grade of 83.4. Tyreek Stevenson, 79.8. Dominique Robinson, 74.1. And Montez Sweat, 72.7. I'll tell you what, I love seeing all those names there. Now, PFF grades aren't the end-all, be-all, and I say that all the time. And one of the reasons why I say that is like Gervon Dexter having the highest grade is great. And I'm not saying he had a bad game, but I need more of an impact at times for Gervon Dexter, right? Dominique Robinson having a great grade is great because he came in there and he gave some time. He gave some snaps for the Chicago Bears and some stuff that the Bears absolutely needed. Make no mistake about it. And I think that Dominique Robinson could carve out a spot for himself as a solid depth piece for the Chicago Bears. He recorded one of the Bears' 2 sacks. I think he got the first sack on the night as well. Montez Sweat gave him the other one. But it's, we'll see what happens here. Good growth from the defense also in this game. As far as the worst players that graded out on offense, Darnell Wright at 46.6. He got to be better, bro. Like, Darnell Wright has really, it's been an interesting season for Darnell Wright. But like I said in I think it was Darius's voicemail the other day, let's not count him out yet. We saw the season started off the first 2 games for Tyreek Stevenson and how he really stepped up in week 3. Hopefully Darnell Wright starts putting it together. But left guard Joe Thuney, second worst offensive player, graded at 59.7. Kyle Monangai, 63. Cole Kmet, 63.4. And Durham Smythe, 63.6. So you look at Kyle Monangai, his 6 carries for 16 yards, only averaging 2.7 yards per carry. But he made more of an impact than that out there. But we do need him. I think he's going to earn more time and more opportunity. But let's see what he can do outside of that. I think is what we need to see from Kyle Monangai. And Darnell Wright just has to be better. As it stands right now, week 3, after the week 3 game, it looks like he's regressed. And that doesn't feel good to say, right? But that's why I said as of right now, hopefully those things start turning for Darnell Wright. As far as the worst defensive player grades, Jonathan Owen with a 29.5, Shamar Turner with a 30, Daniel Hardy with a 44.1, and Noah Sewell with a 44.2. And this is why I say that don't take PFF grades as the end-all, be-all, right? Because there are some things that go into it, right? But I think that you look at what Noah Sewell had with the 11 tackles. He was second only to Tremaine Edmonds in that place. Like he was around some big plays in the run game. PFF grades are interesting in that case. Like I said, don't take it as the end all be all with that said. And for what it's worth also, they talked about, as well that, Grady Jarrett having a big speech in the locker room and, even saying that, Daniel Hardy had, a place in that as well, right? But Daniel Hardy saying this: "It was a great seeing one of your captors trying to get the troops ready to go. It's like seeing your leader grab the flag and charge into the fight. Grady is an animated dude. He's an intense guy. He's got a lot of passion for the game. It's year 11 for him, and he's got more fire, more passion than ever. That's why we voted for him for captain. He did his job." And it's good to see that, right? Jaquan Brisker, for what it's worth, said this too, that the defensive players came together for a players-only meeting following their loss to Detroit, and Grady Jarrett and Brisker led the meeting. So you're seeing things in leadership that step up, and you need that, right? When you're trying to be a team that are trying to come out of where the Bears have been for so long, you need players to step up as leaders for you. Hearing that Jaquan Brisker, who we already know has been a leader for this team, he just has to keep his ass on the football field. And Grady Jarrett, a new veteran that we added to this team, being some of the players that are stepping up and leading for this team is all great to hear. Now we need to keep going, right? And also, like, one of the things that I also want to talk about with even like the PFF grades, like while Shamar Turner didn't grade out right as PFF, but if you go and look at the tape for Shamar Turner, I think that, he had a nice impact on the Chicago Bears, right? The fire that he played with when he was on the field, I think was really good. I think especially that's good for leading the huddle, things like that. And I do think that like Dennis Allen has talked about how much he likes Shamar Turner, and one of the big reasons why they drafted him. So Shamar Turner getting some opportunity out there is going to be good. We're going to see. When you look at the pressure rate for the Chicago Bears as well, and this is something I was waiting to come out here, the Bears got more pressure than what the sack results tell you. For example, Montez Sweat had 6 pressures in Sunday's game. Gervon Dexter had 6 pressures. Tremaine Edmonds, 2 interceptions. Tyreek Stevenson, 2 forced fumble, right? And so when you look at that, right, that's been really good. Even when you look at Shamar Turner as well, and him getting on the field for the first time that he got to play this season, he was on the field for 23 snaps. And while not a lot showed up on the stat sheet for him, if you go and watch the tape, you see him getting penetration in the run game. He forced Javonte Williams to cut back into a wall of defenders and getting a tackle there. He got a good rush on the center and got pressure on the pocket to Dak Prescott, forcing on the play that he got a huge incompletion on. So there were absolutely times where Shamar Turner made a good impact for the Chicago Bears, and that's why you use the stats, you use things like PFF grades, but also go and watch the tape. And I think if you watch the tape, you start seeing that Shamar Turner, as he gets more comfortable, is going to continue to make more of an impact for the Chicago Bears. And for Darius's point and other people that have made it, Gervon Dexter is going to have to continue to step up because you got a dog behind you that has the mentality. And while the production hasn't been there yet for a guy like Shamar Turner, watch out, because that mentality that he has there can end up paying off big for him and for the Chicago Bears when it's all said and done. So take that for how you will. Now, lastly, before we get out of here, Colston Loveland, we got an injury update on Colston Loveland, who did have a 31-yard completion in the game. Unfortunately, he didn't stay in the game long, right? But Adam Schefter had an update on that saying this. Bears tight end Colston Loveland's hip injury is not believed to be serious, and he is expected to have a chance to play Sunday at the Raiders, per a source. That's great. Like, for a offense that needs to get their tight ends more involved, I think that you want your guys out there, and you're going to want a guy like Colston Loveland out there. I think one of the knocks that I gave for Ben Johnson is that I need to see the tight ends more involved. Now, we'll see what happens with that and how that develops over time, but I need to see those tight ends more involved. We actually got a voicemail from Darius on that, which we'll get into here in a second. But overall, I think there's some really good things to take away from that. All right. But with that said, let's get into the two voicemails that we have today. The first one is from a first-time caller. He's from the 708. He didn't leave his name, but let's go ahead and get into that one now.
What's good, fellas? C-Dub, Bobby, Hayes, Steve-O, everybody, all of the fans that's watching and stuff like that. I'm happy to make this phone call, man. After a win, I tune into y'all all the time. But I never really call. I just listen to other people's perspectives and stuff like that, including y'all's. But I definitely want to share one question and one thought that I had about the game. The first thing I want to say is I'm part of the club that is officially done with looking at DJ Moore taking snaps in the backfield. I feel like even though it does prove that he can be versatile, we got Kyle Manunga who broke like 8 tackles in 6 attempts. And he looked pretty good. I feel like if he hasn't earned Ben Johnson's trust yet, he definitely put himself way higher on the radar after last game. So them touches that they given to DJ, I need to see them get them to Kyle Manunga. And I feel like some of our drives will be in much better positions. We had 14 third downs yesterday. We converted 8 of them, but I'm wondering how many of those even get to third and medium or third and long if Kyle Manunga can push and get 4 or 5 up the field running downhill. And then my question is, just based off that game, what my thought is that that's probably the first real game of the season where teams can really have a feel for what Ben Johnson's offense will look like with the Chicago Bears and what it is that he's trying to do. So I'm wondering kind of, I guess, what y'all opinion is as far as what teams could possibly try to do to scout the Bears differently, just based off of that game and the success that they had and the different things that they were trying to do. What do y'all feel like teams like the Raiders or like the Commanders that we're gonna be seeing up in these next 3 weeks, across these next 3 weeks? How do you feel like they could adjust and try to answer Ben Johnson's offensive play calling and his scheme? Other than that, great win for the Bears. Finally something I can go to work and talk about because I wear my Bears hat to work almost every day, and I'm tired of people saying, man, them Bears, man. Now I can go up there and tell them to shut up. But happy Monday to y'all. Let me know what y'all think is. Bear down.
And here's what I'll say to here, right? DJ Moore is going to continue taking snaps in the backfield, and I think that he should, right? I think they're going to try to use DJ all over the field. Now, does that mean that it should take precedence over somebody like Kyle Monangai? No, I think Kyle Monangai has earned an opportunity for a larger role and has earned more snaps. And I think he's looked solid in many areas. While the run, it wasn't a lot of run stats there for him. The pass blocking that he had, the fact that he grounded out some yards, those type of things are there for Kyle Monangai. I think as he gets more time and more opportunity to get comfortable, I think we got a hell of a player in Kyle Monangai personally, right? And so, I agree with you as well that this is the first game that we've really got to feel like a Ben Johnson coached offense. Now, as far as how people are going to scheme for it differently, I think they're going to play more for downfield. We saw Caleb Williams go downfield more, and I just think it's going to have to keep defenses on their heels. And one thing, too, is I think, with the design runs that we saw for Caleb Williams, there were some intentional design runs for Caleb Williams. Teams are going to play for that, too, as well when they look at the Chicago Bears and be worried about those design runs, too. So I think those are things. But I think overall, you're going to probably see try to do more blitzing with your front four, and then they're going to play him for the deep ball a little bit more. I'm not saying for every play, but a little bit more as he looks to keep defenses honest, I think is the thing you're going to see there. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas, man. Hey, Hayes, I just wanted to just to kind of piggyback on that comment that you're saying that Brady made about Caleb, and I totally agree with that. And I think that Ben has started to agree with that too, because if you notice, man, I don't even know if anybody noticed, Caleb ran a lot of play action pass. He ran a lot of play-action pass against the Cowboys, and I think that is what is the key to unlocking him, because he doesn't feel structured. Even though he's playing within a structure, he doesn't feel structured if he can get out of the pocket and move around a little bit. That's where Caleb really shines the most. So it really is the best of both worlds with play-action, playing within a structure, but he's also getting to roll out of the pocket and be athletic a little bit. And I think that's exactly, to your point, I think that's exactly what Brady was talking about. So if we see more play action pass this next game, I think that Caleb is going to have another big game, because I really do feel like play action is the way to go. Now, defenses are going to start to counteract that with playing a little bit more contained around the edges, and that's when he'll have to adjust. But hey, man, if they're playing contained, that should weaken their ability to defend the run a little bit in between the tackles, I feel like. So yeah, man, I'm just overall excited about that part of it, because I noticed that while I was watching the game, is that, man, he's rolling out a lot, and I love it. Also, man, just one question, dude, because we were talking about, you were saying, you still were disappointed with the fact that you didn't see as many touches from the tight ends. Do you think that that's a Ben Johnson not scheming them open thing, or do you think Caleb just isn't seeing it? And I don't have an answer for that one way or the other. I want to know what you think about that, because in a sense, if he schemes it up, but Caleb just ain't seeing it, that's not on Ben. You know what I mean? Ben can scheme it up, and Caleb just ain't seeing it for whatever reason or another. But I don't know if that's true. So I want to know from your perspective, man, what do you think about that? Because I'm kind of foot in both camps on that one. But yeah, man, he is truly unlocked, and I think his athletic ability and his arm is really starting to show. We have to keep it going. The Bajent baddies are at bay, so I'm sure you're happy about that. But Texas up, bear down.
Darius, this is probably one of your best voicemails, bro, because listen, great question here, right? As much as we talk about the Ben Johnson, and having to realize that Caleb Williams, is going to he's going to do some things that aren't as technically sound as Ben Johnson likes. But the question that you ask here, is it that Ben Johnson isn't scheming for the tight ends, or is that Caleb Williams is missing the tight ends? So I went back and looked at probably about 10 to 12 plays, passing plays, and just to see, right? And at least the impression that I get is that I feel like Caleb Williams goes to his first or second reads more times than not. Again, I could be wrong on that, but that's the feeling that I get. And so if I'm basing it off that, it doesn't seem like Caleb Williams is looking towards his tight ends a lot either, to your point. But if Caleb Williams is going to the first or second reads and options on the plays, maybe that means that that they're not the priority in that. And again, I could be wrong in that, right? The only person that could really tell you that is the person that designed the plays, right? But that's an interesting thing to look out for, because as we see and see more two tight end sets and things like that, if we see that just Caleb Williams isn't going to his tight ends, then that may point to it is more of a Caleb thing than a Ben Johnson not scheming them right thing, right? I love what you talked about, the play option, right? Like, that's something that, it's going to be interesting to see what Caleb Williams does in there, how Ben Johnson continues to use that. Because once Ben finds a rhythm with his quarterback with Caleb Williams, that's where I think, and they get in that sync, in that play calling sync, that's where things are going to be special at. But as always, you guys can let me know how you feel down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.